Kids are always watching. Now, what does that mean to us as family-focused entrepreneurs? For most of us, we have children. Not all of us, because you don't have to have children in order to be focused on your family and make your family a priority. But for a lot of us, we have kids. And if our kids are always watching, they see us when we life, they see us when we're doing business, at least to some degree. Depending on the age of your child, depends on what they see and what they understand. And it also depends on what we allow them to see and what we tell them. So welcome back to the Family First Entrepreneur podcast. I'm your host, Heather Blake. So years ago, I was a single parent. My son was 4 years old, 3 and 4, and I would work a lot, and I mean a lot. And he would say to me, "Mommy, where you going?" And I would always say, "I'm going to work so I can make money and pay the bills." And eventually, he just told me where I was going. He didn't have to ask me. He's like, "Mommy, you going to work, make money, pay bills?" And I was so proud of him for understanding and seeing that and making that connection because I explained it to him all the time. I'd say that, but I'd also be like, well, we can't do that unless I go to make money. I need to make money so I can spend money on this and that and, things like that. I worked a ton, but I was also there for him a lot. I brought him to t-ball and to biddy ball when he was really little, and t-ball and baseball. And then as he got a little bit older, football, and I was involved, but I made sure that I explained to him. And then my daughter, once I started dating my now husband, they were the same age, but she didn't have the same understanding as he did. Although my husband worked a ton and worked really well and was a very responsible person, she didn't see her mother going to work to make money to pay the bills. And so she saw something very different. She didn't understand what was going on. So she would be like, "Where are you going?" And he would be like, "She's going to work, got to make money, pay the bills." And eventually I ended up starting my full-time photography business, which allowed me to bring the kids with me all the time. And so then she started to actually really see it. She could see what I was doing on a daily basis. She was there with me after school sometimes, or on days when there was no school. On Saturdays, the kids always came with me. My husband worked in retail at that time, so he was always working on Saturdays. And I got to show my kids what I was doing and show them what entrepreneurship was. I bought my kids materials, so when they were at the studio with me, they could craft things, and there was in the front section, so I had it set up so in the front, there was a retail store full of handmade local goods. Then in the middle section was my desk, my office, and a sitting area. So on one side was my desk, my office. The other side was a sitting area for people who I would have meetings with before we would do their photography sessions, so I could help plan their sessions with them, or while they were waiting for their actual session. Then in the back, the rear section, I had a large curtain that I hung up, and behind the curtain was my photography studio. So the kids would actually spend a lot of time when I didn't have sessions. They would spend the time in the portrait studio area or in the sitting area, and they would craft. Then they could put their stuff that they crafted in the front section to sell things. I also brought my kids to a kids farmers market. So they did a special kids farmers market one year during the winter. Saturday, they had the farmers market. And then they decided to plan on Sunday a kids vendor event, which was really cool. So my daughter and I spent time sewing, creating platypuses and bunnies, all these different plushies. So I got to teach her how to sew, which she had already been learning a little bit. Then she learned about buying the materials to make it, pricing her product, and selling it. And she was able to make her own money. My son, he had the idea to make donuts. So we created Benji's Donut Bakery. And we did a PB&J donut, which was a jelly-filled donut with a peanut butter icing. And then I don't remember what the other thing we did, but believe me, everyone wanted to try the PB&J donut, and we sold out of those. And he made money as well. He got to understand, okay, mom bought these goods to bake, so I owe her this money in order to be able to pay her back for the materials. And then this is what I get. And they each had to pay a $5 vendor fee. So they had to take that out, and they understood the importance of being able to earn your own money and being able to make it on your own. Fast forward years later, my now youngest, this past year, she was all about a lemonade stand. She wanted to have a lemonade stand, and she bought the materials to make it, the lemon juice, the sugar, and real lemons. Then her and I made the lemonade together. And while I did a tag sale, she sold lemonade and made some pretty good money, actually. And she got to learn the same lesson that the kids learned, that the older two learned, about cost of goods and salesmanship and making your own money, and how, excited she was about this. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because I believe we can all teach our kids. Now, if we just say, I'm working, I'm busy, things like that, our kids aren't learning, right? So, hey, mom, can I do that? I'm busy. Well, that doesn't teach them anything. That just teaches them to be busy, right? And kids are bored when they're busy half the time, right? Nowadays, I'm bored. I'm bored. If you actually show them what you're doing or tell them what you're doing, they are able to understand this, and they start developing skills based off of what you are showing them and telling them. I did have some notes. Let me take a moment. Let's see if I can pull these up. There was a few things that I wanted to talk about, and so I just want to pull those up to make sure that I don't miss any. So another area that I wanted to talk about was letting them help. Now, kids are different ages. Maybe they can help in certain ways and other ones cannot. When I had a children's clothing business, which I closed because I did not like it anymore, I was making bows, and I do the vinyl cutouts, cut out the bows, and my son was looking to make money. I said, okay, I can pay you to work for me. He's like, well, what would I have to do? And so I showed him how to use the hot glue gun to put the bows together. And he did, I think I told him that I'd give him $1 a bow. And I want to say he did 20 or 30 bows. So he made 20 or 30 bucks. Now, because I allowed him to be a part of that, he understood. And he understood the value of money, but he also understood what goes into doing things like this. A little kid, you might be able to have them help you organize your supplies. If you have something that has a supply. My youngest, she is entertaining, and she's actually been in a few of my videos on social media. So that's a way she can help out. She understands that she's making this video to help me promote my business and the family focused life. Now, kids don't really that often want to be a part of what I'm doing in that sense, but occasionally she does. Let's see. A great thing that you can teach your child through business is that we help fix problems. We help someone fix their own problems, depending on what it is exactly. And you can help them learn how to fix problems. You can ask them if there's something that they'd love to fix or make better. Maybe they like to cook and they thought they could make a dish a little bit better. Maybe there's a friend at school who's having a hard time and they have an idea of how to help fix that problem. Whatever it is, let them just go with it. Ask them this question, let them go. This allows them to start thinking and using that brain power in a way that an entrepreneur would. But not just an entrepreneur, anyone could use this. That's just an all-around good skill, but really great skill for an entrepreneur. One thing that a lot of people think is not being done this day and age is normalizing failure. We're in the age of everyone gets a participation ribbon or a participation trophy. And as much as I do like that at younger ages, we also need to normalize failure. Things don't always work out the way we want them to. And that's okay. I love to say that I do not regret anything in my life because they have shaped who I am. They have influenced my thought process. They have made me who I am today. So when you learn from something, when you learn from failure, it's not a failure. You don't regret it. You adjust and you move on. So normalizing this and allowing your children to see this, now depending on their age or their personality, it can be harder for others to understand this than some. My son who has ADHD, he does struggle with this in the moment. He can look back at things and understand that, okay, this is how I need to adjust. That is especially great for him on the football field. But if he has a bad game, let me tell you, when he gets off the field, he'll tell you how bad he played. But that doesn't mean he doesn't learn from it. It's just the ADHD talking. My youngest daughter, she gets really upset when things don't go her way. She gets upset when she doesn't get recognized for something. So this is something that she is working on, or at least I'm trying to have her work on. But she's 7 years old, so it's expected. But by talking about these failures, talking about not getting the recognition, talking about the disappointments, will help her learn and help her understand that these are all normal processes that we all go through. Now, if you see me keep looking up just past the camera, it's because there's a picture of my family just up there. And so especially when I'm talking about them, I keep looking at them. This kind of goes back to the beginning of what I was talking about. I was working a ton, but I was also making sure I made it to my son's bitty ball and t-ball and things like that. Now, there are some days when I struggle with balance, not because I feel like I have to have things done, but because I am a workaholic. It is something in me, and it's probably like the ADHD in me that just believes I need to do this. I need to get it done. I need to focus on business. I need to do something. And business for me is that thing that I focus on. It is ingrained inside of me. So I do struggle at times with balance, but I make sure that I step back and force myself sometimes out of it. I enjoy having time away from my business as much as I enjoy being part of my business. Like last night, for example, I was working on something in a notebook, and my daughter decides, my youngest, she decides we're going to play, Pokemon. Now she has no clue how to play Pokemon, but she has some Pokemon cards. And so we do her version of Pokemon. And I sat there, I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's play this game. And of course she won because she sets her own rules to this game. But I'll stop working while we play this game. Or things like, I'm going to work from this time to this time. After that, that's our time. Or making sure that your kids understand that there is balance. There has to be balance. Also understanding, and this goes for your whole family, not just your kids, but there are seasons and there are times when we have to work harder than other times. That we have to work slightly less balanced. The scales are slightly tipped more to one side than the other. So are there times when we can go on vacation and step away from our business completely, or just very minimal focus during that time? Yes, there are times. And then there's times when the scale tips the other way. And we are heavier would be down. We are heavier in the business side. And we, like, maybe we're doing a launch, maybe we're doing a rebrand, whatever it is, there are the times either way that we might focus more. But overall, we need to communicate to our children that balance is important. I think about growing up in the 80s and 90s, and balance was never a thing. People burned out. People still do this, but it was never even discussed. Now it is. And we are the parents, and I'm starting to get emotional. We are the parents that are going to set up our next generation, and we want to give them the tools to live their best life. Now, nothing against my parents, but they did not teach me financing. They did not teach me how to have a work-life balance. My parents worked a lot. They worked a lot to provide for me and my siblings. I saw a great work ethic from my parents, but they did not show me a work-life balance. So it is my responsibility. It is your responsibility to teach our kids what it means to have a work-life balance. And being a family-focused entrepreneur, we understand the importance of that, whereas maybe other entrepreneurs do not. We make family a priority, and because of that, we need to make teaching our children certain things a priority. And showing them and telling them about work-life balance is huge. One more thing that I really want to talk to you about is explaining how what you do can help improve someone else's life, or can at least have a positive effect on someone else's life, depending on what you do. If you are, creating balloon bouquets for parties or balloon arches for baby showers, that helps bring people joy. And that, even if it's just for a little while, has a positive effect on somebody. I work with family-focused entrepreneurs, and I know I can help them change their life. That's huge. If you work with someone because you're, in health and nutrition, and you're helping someone change their life, maybe reversing a medical diagnosis, or helping them lose weight so they can run around with their children or be alive for their grandchildren, that's huge. So just telling our children that we're working is not enough. Tell your kids how what you do changes someone else's life, even just for a moment. Can help them, bring them joy or less pain. How what you can do can repair a relationship, make them feel happy again. Just communicate. So let's see here. I'm going to look right at my notes to tell you this. Let them help. Communicate with them about work ethic, work-life balance, what you do, and how that can affect other people. That their ideas can help other people. Normalize failures. Help them to see that disappointments and failures are something to be learned from and allow you to grow as a person and as a business owner, as a parent, as a child, as a friend, especially when they're little kids. Sometimes sad situations can actually help us be a better friend. My stepdaughter and I have lots of conversations, girl drama and things like that. And we have lots of conversations about times when, there's discord between and her friend, or there's issues with another kid in class, because just that general mean girl kind of thing. And we love to sit and discuss. And I often say to her, well, what's going on in their life? What is it that is causing them to be mean to another girl in the class? Is there something going on? And we can be able to discuss that. Or, it's very unfortunate that your friend is afraid to do this without you. Because of that, she is not able to vocalize that she's afraid to do something without you because she relies on you. And so instead, she's not understanding of why you don't want to do it with her. I am able to take these conversations and help her understand what's going on around her. And then she is able to impact others based off of what she has learned from those interactions. That might be slightly off track, but I don't know. I just thought of it when I was talking. This week, please make sure you're taking the opportunities to model what it is that you want your kids to learn, because children are always watching and they are listening. Even though they don't hear us when we talk to them, they hear everything going on. They just don't want you to know. Thank you. See you next week.